Okay, it's been a day. But hello everyone, welcome back to the Tiger Den. I hope you guys are doing well. Matt, good afternoon, and congrats on your first. It has been a day and a half. It's been a morning, I've had to deal with kids, I'm working on making a cake, and it's fine. It's fine. I've got this. I have got this. So you guys probably noticed I'm working on a bit bigger sheet than I normally would. Also, that lo-fi is like really loud in my ears. So let me turn that down a bit. I feel like you guys can't hear me. You probably can, but oh my word. Okay, we're turning that down. I can't hear myself. Anyway. So, we are working on a bigger piece. One of the events coming up, sending fine on this end. Oh, okay, wonderful. Well, I turned it down a little bit anyway, because I want to hear myself. One of the events coming up is called Frontier Days. And basically what it is it's like a big rodeo. And people just come, they do barrel chases, they do the events where they like show off the horses, they, rope a bull, and all sorts of stuff like that. Well, the art league I'm a part of wants to do a showcase of art pieces. And the theme, are you ready for this theme? It's such a hard theme. 12 by 12. That's it. That's the theme. Do it on 12 by 12, whatever you want. So I was coming up with something that would be fun for Frontier Days, and this is my little book of ideas. And I came up with a horse and some flowers and kind of like a tree background. But to get this kind of like inconsistent paint circle pattern, I have to do a new technique that I haven't done before. I did it here, but doing it on something this big might be a little challenging. So I have to work fast for this initial test or this initial part, and I have to work not necessarily like consistent or like perfectly, but I do have to work fairly quickly. So you'll notice I have 3 different water cups. The big reason for that is to get that kind of like natural water background, I have to spill water on this piece of paper. But I can't just spill water. I gotta color the water. And then I have to quickly refill it. And then, I have to spill the watercolor for the sky, quickly refill it, do the watercolor for the ground. And then hopefully the green I can get light enough without having to get and like spill it where I can get a nice tree feel on this side. But I have to be quick with it. I have to be really quick with it. So first things first, we're going to take this water and we're going to turn it into a nice kind of light blue. We don't want it too light, but we do want it light enough. As you can see, I have the bigger brushes out because of the bigger piece. I don't know why I got that scrap paper out. I'm going to be using this scrap paper. So I just need to take some of my sky blue here, and it may use up most of the pan, and I just have to mix it up into this water. I have to really, really fill this water. Because I want it to be light and kind of like a nice watercolor light background, but at the same time, I also need it to be visible and not just like a tinted paper. You guys are going to enjoy how I have to make this kind of background here. It's a lot of fun. At least when I tested it in the book, it was a lot of fun. So we're going to take a little bit of this water and we're just going to test it here as a swatch. See, that isn't blue enough. That's a nice light blue. And as I push it around with the color, yes, I'm getting more color. That might be from my brush than it is the water. So I'm going to wipe off the brush and we're going to add more blue to this. See, with watercolor, the more water you add, the lighter the value. So that can lighten up the color in to where it is kind of like a light wash, a light tint instead of what you need. This has to deal with watercolor values. So even though you have, let's say, a 7-color pan, you technically have a ton of colors per pan because you can mix and match, and then you can take that one color and get different values from it. So you can get a really thick, dark color. You can lighten it up with more water. And so having this 100-pan palette, I've learned, is not very useful, which is why I made my own palette the last time we streamed, which, by the way, is done. If anyone wants to see it, let me know. I have it next to me. I still got to make the glitter for it, but I didn't get my my gum arabic in time, and I used up all my gum arabic. So I am waiting for that gum arabic to come in before I can make more watercolors. And I'm going to be focusing on glitters for the last layer of pan. And yes, I'm using a lot of this rest of this sky blue because there's a lot of water in this. And this is going to also be a long time for me to mix up the sand, which I'm going to use Naples yellow with a little bit of yellow brown. I'm going to be mixing those up to make the Naples, or the brown of the dirt. Oh, that is nothing. Why is that just water? I feel like, no, let's try taking a little bit of a darker blue, like indigo, which apparently didn't get squirted when I squirted it. We're going to take a little bit of a darker blue, just to kind of get some blue in there. I know I want sky blue, but with how much water is in here, the indigo shouldn't make it that dark. And I think I have too much water to color ratio, and that's why I'm not getting what I'm looking for here. There, I added a bunch of indigo in there. I may have to get out my... Oh, that one actually tapped off with some color. So let's try this one. Okay, yeah, I'm not getting enough. So I'm going to... I really don't want to use my Winsor & Newton, but those are the only ones up here right now. I'm going to take a little bit of my Winsor & Newton, and I'm going to be using cerulean blue. I'm just going to take a little bit, squirt it in here, because that, just a little bit of Winsor & Newton has a lot of heavy pigment, so that should get me to where my water is. I probably should have grabbed another cup and mixed up the brown beforehand. You know, I'm actually going to leave the Winsor & Newton out because I have a feeling I'm going to need to mix my own color using those. So now we're going to just take that pigment, mix it around in here. And what's weird is this water is very, very deep blue, so the fact I'm not getting any pigment from it is very odd. I'm starting to get a little bit more pigment. I think I'm going to take a touch of the ultramarine blue. Like I said, the lighter, or the more water you have, the lighter the color. So these darker blues are just going to lighten up to that nice sky blue. And yes, I probably should have, I 100% should have, gotten a second cup to mix the brown up here. Try and get all that ultramarine blue off the side here. So as you can see, that is a nice deep blue in the cup, but never trust the cup's value because it is a little bit more concentrated than, say, if it were on the paper. Because the more water, the thicker the paper. And always, before swatching, make sure your brush is fully clear, especially if you use... Hi, baby. Did you want some attention? We have an Eva here, guys. It's my black baby. Always make sure you swatch the brush because you could get that straight pigment on there. So now, that's looking a little better. It's still kind of light and transparent, but I think without using most of my tube, I'm not going to get that far with it. I'm going to use a little bit more cerulean, just a little bit more. I just dropped the cap. No, not the cap. So with this being my Winsor & Newton that I'm having to make the sky, I'm probably going to charge a little bit more for this piece because Winsor & Newton is a little bit more expensive. So now we're mixing in that cerulean blue. And this is just, like I said, to get that nice sky color. I'm going to use a lot less water on the next step with the sand. Mostly because I don't need the sand. I'm also going to take off my rings here for a quick hot second. Because I'm going to be playing in this water and I don't want it in my rings. I'm going to be using a lot less water. Oh, thank you for... I forgot water. I'm going to hydrate with coffee. We're going to hydrate with coffee today. Because you know what? It's just been that day. I don't need water. I need happiness. And coffee's made with water, right? Okay. Anyway, I'm going to be playing in this water to kind of get that. I'm getting bullied with love. I appreciate it. No, Matt, I appreciate why you're hydrating. You're right. I should drink water. I did really good yesterday. I had like 50 ounces of water without anyone hydrating me. I just forgot to grab it because it's been a morning. And I realized it was like almost 1 when I finished with the cakes. I sat down to relax, and then I looked at the time, and it was like 12:40, and I was like, shit. So I kind of rush grabbed things. But as you can see from these swatches, that was our first swatch. It was a nice sky blue. It did lighten up to a nice sky, but as we went along, it's kind of going other places, and it's not lighting where we would like it to be. I'm gonna clean up that swatch a little bit because it's pooling. But I think this last mix in here, I feel like that someday. It's all good. I know it's good fun. But I'm gonna take this last swatch. I think it's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be our most blue we got, and it is going to pool a bit with what I'm doing, which is fine, and that pooling is giving a nice bigger blue color. If I can add a little bit more sky blue here, just to lighten it up a touch, that would be nice. I don't think I'm going to be able to lighten it that much without, pulling every ounce of pigment out of my pan, which is fine. That happens. Let's see how that one looks. And I do have a reason for having a clean sheet of rag and using my dirty one here. Okay, there we go. That's nice and light. That's pigmented enough for what I'm going for, and it's nice and light. With how much water we're going to be pouring on this, I don't think I'm going to have to be as quick with the next color amount, but I'm still going to try and be pretty quick. I'm going to make sure they are nice and wet, so we want yellow ochre, yellow brown, and Naples yellow. I'm going to mix those 3 for the dirt. So here's the fun part of this piece. I get to make kind of like a messy color. To do that, you just take your cup, dump it in the middle, and you just start splashing around. And you want to be careful you don't splash too much. And I think I have way too much blue in this. I'm probably going to soak some of this up. But you just kind of splash around and make that uneven look. Yeah, I'm going to take some of this blue and pick it up, because that is a bit too much blue. That's going straight in the trash. And you're just going to kind of, I think I did mix too dark a blue. It's fine. The sky's going to be a nice blue sky. I should have stuck with just the sky blue. And you just kind of make it messy. Make it nice and messy. Now I got blue all over my hand. I'm getting a clean rag. We're just going to cut it because I'm not even fighting with these perforations right now. And now I have too much blue in my cup. So yeah, I did make way too much blue. But we're going to let this sit there for a minute, and we're going to mix up the dirt. I'm going to dump out the blue that I have. I used way too much pigment. It was a waste of a lot of pigment. Now I feel bad. I thought I got a small enough cup. I did not. We're going to take a lot less water. Like a lot less. So we're only taking like that much water. As you can see, the blue line's way up here. I'm barely at the bottom. Partially because I don't need as much of it. Partially because of the fact that I just had to waste a lot of pigment. Which is fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. I do have my tens unit on, so you're going to see me kind of pull away every so often to make sure that that is up to date, because my back is killing me. So we're going to start with the Naples yellow, which in my test run, I only did Naples yellow, which is a really pretty color. See, it's right there. It's nice and pretty. But I want a little bit of yellow ochre and a little bit of yellow brown in this, just to get a little bit more of a dirt feel. And I'm probably going to use the yellow ochre and the brown once it's fully dry to create kind of like a, well, the yellow brown, not straight brown, to create kind of like a dirt effect where you see like those stones, but it's far enough away I may not. We'll see how it goes. So there we go. I got a nice dark color here. I think I'm going to take more Naples yellow and lighten it up. I'm having a bad habit of making it too dark. Water in that Naples yellow. And yes, doing this method, especially on a piece this size, takes a lot of water. Okay, now we're going to swatch this Naples yellow. I'm going to clean my brush. And now you guys can also see why I took off my rings. We're just going to swatch it here. And that seems to be pretty good. It's a little on the light side, but that's okay. I want the dirt to feel almost like a sand instead of a straight up dirt mound. And as we saw from the blue, it darkened quite a bit. I'm just going to soak up some of these puddles here because I'm about to make more water on it, and I don't want too much of a puddle where I pick it up. So you want it wet but not soaking. And I will be making clouds in this in just a minute, so I will be kind of making drier sections. I want to get the trees in before I do that. So now we're just going to dump the brown a little bit on the bottom here, and we're just going to kind of splur it around. With that blue, it is going to make it a little bit darker, so I probably should have stuck to only Naples yellow, but it gives it a little bit more. Come over here, and as you can see, the paper is warping a little bit, which is okay. It's not great. Just trying to get this up a little higher to a horizon line. And I'm just kind of creating and following that blue with the brown. So that way we have that nice kind of windowed painting look. Just kind of spreading it around. And then much like last time, I'm going to take and soak up some of this water on the outside. Just that way it doesn't pool too much and create what I like to call puddles, I guess, is the best way to put it. Take a little bit more brown on here. Now, the easy way to avoid having it warp like this is to use a washi tape or an artist tape to basically glue it down to whatever you're working on. I don't have artist tape, and washi tape is the ones I have don't have a lot to it, so I didn't want to use it, but it's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. So the next step is, while this blue is still satiny and wet, we are going to wet our greens a lot. I'm going to go with a malachite green, which is this one right here, but we want it nice and wet and watery. We don't want to have too much color. So you don't want to wait too much for it to set up, but you're just going to drop it in and kind of create some trees off to the side here. And that is going to... See, the more wet it is, the more it's going to bleed and create kind of like a blurry tree. We can go in when it's a little drier and make a much more detailed tree. But I don't want it to be too detailed here for these further back ones. Now, it is dry enough that I could probably do that detailed tree now. But with me putting in the wet green, I want it to not... I don't want it to overdo it. I don't want it to bleed at all. So that is going to be those trees. Now, I am considering, and the reason I have a branch on my desk, yes, I have a stick, because sticks are cool. I am considering adding some brown to these, and the best way I have found to make a tree trunk is actually to use a real stick. So a real stick will actually give you a much more natural trunk feel, which I may do, or I may use it just for the fence I'm going to put in, which also would be really cool. And now I'm going to soak up some more of this brown down here. I did add way too much water. I tried my best. Like I said, this is a new technique. It's messy and it's hard to control, but that's what's fun about watercolor, is having that inability to control it. So now for the clouds, I'm just going to take and rip... No, I'm not, because you rip paper towel. You cannot rip these rags. So I'm just going to take a little section here. I'm going to get it wet because that blue is starting to dry out. And we're just going to lift, which basically means pull off the paint, the color of the clouds here. And paper towel is the best way I have found to make a natural looking kind of cloud. I have been working on this technique for ages to find a good cloud. And it is really, really hard to find a good natural cloud. I have tried almost every technique in the book you can think of. So there we go. There's some clouds. They are nice and light and airy. And now we got to sit here and let this dry. Which is why I try to pull up some of this water, because it'll dry a little faster if I pull up some of this water. The next step is once it's fully dry, we are drawing... I'm going to add on the fence. No. I'm going to draw the horse, then add on the fence, and then add some flowers and a bush and all that. I may do the tree, the more detailed tree, before the fence. Or before the fence. But I'm going to draw the horse next. Hello again, Ka-chang. I am doing okay. A lot of stress. I was a little late to stream today because I was working on making a cake for my daughter whose birthday was last weekend, but we're celebrating the birthday party this weekend. So I was working on making the cake and I lost track of time. The batter I had, I expected to make like 3 pans and like 6 mini cupcakes. Ended up with 48 mini cupcakes and 3 pans, 3 8-inch pans. So I overmade my cake mix. Just a touch, just a smidgen. Anyway, we are trying a new technique today, which is splatter art. Basically, you take the art and you kind of use your finger to spread it around, create more of a splatter effect here. I'm just going to kind of splatter this out a little bit more, just to give it a little bit more of a splattery effect. But this is to try and create like a window going into a painting instead of like your brush has opened up a whole new world instead of having a solid like framed piece that is just exactly how it looks. So there's that. I do like how this brown is looking. I might add a touch more brown on this side. It is, like I said, warping a little bit. So it's gonna... There, got a little bit more splatter there on these edges. So it is gonna kind of pick up more of that blue is what I'm trying to avoid. Just trying to get a nice brown down here, which I think I am going to go over with a little bit of Naples yellow once it's a little bit more dry, just to get it a little bit brighter. But I know what? It's okay. The dirt's okay. Happy accidents. I added too much brown, but it's fine. Happy accident. It looks like dirt. I'm going to dump out the rest of my brown before I start overdoing it. And now I got a new water cup. It's a paper cup, so it's not going to last forever. But I got a new water cup. Not that I needed one. So you guys probably noticed I took my rings off, or at least those of you who are just coming in. I took my rings off because I did a splatter with my hand, and I didn't want that splatter to get all over my rings. The next step, oh my goodness, my finger is dry. Look at it's just peeling. I need some lotion on that finger before I put my ring back on. So right now we're just waiting for this piece to dry a little bit. Ooh, that is liquidous. Mix my lotion back up. Okay. Now I got some lotion. But we're just waiting for this to dry before I start going in with the details. This is for a special event coming up in, I think it's September. But my art league is already talking about it now. So I figured I might as well get working on it now. The only rule and theme for this piece is 12 by 12, which means 12 inches by 12 inches. There's no theme for what is on the piece. There's no rule for what's on the piece. When they asked for ideas, came up with a food idea, like steak and eggs for cowboys, and doing a realistic food piece, because I haven't done a realistic food piece in a hot minute. And I thought it would have been fun, but everyone decided against it and just went with a size requirement, which is fine. That's fine. I tend to work on bigger pieces, so this 12 by 12 doesn't bother me. I have my nice brushes over here. I don't know if I'm going to use the mop brush, because I'm not doing... Well, I could with the splatter of the ground. No. I am not going to do anything weird to the ground. I would be remaking this piece like 3-4 times if I start doing weird stuff to the ground. Anyway, I am putting more lotion on because my hands just soaked that up. I have not been lotioning and it's getting warmer, so my hands are getting drier. Anyway, so I came up with like a horse piece to work on with some rose bushes right next to them because, you know, Tiger Rosie. Gotta have roses. I have a new technique for doing roses. Instead of doing the like spaced version, I put the color in and then I lift out the edges, and it looks really, really pretty. I can actually show it to you guys here. Give me a second to lotion up. Could be an interesting challenge to find ways to incorporate 12 in the piece. It would be interesting. I could probably do like 12 roses if I do them a little bit more on the smaller side. I was thinking some nice big ones, but you know, if I shrank them and did 12, that would incorporate that 12 in there. Okay, I think my hands are nice and lotioned. They're a little greasy, which is kind of what you're looking for with lotion. You want it to be nice and hydrated. Alright, so let me show you guys this new technique. At least what it looks like that I am doing in my practice sketchbook here. So I actually did a side-by-side of it. So this is the lift rose. I like the orange better. I was practicing. This is what I used to do, which is the kind of petal. This will feel more natural in this piece, where this one is more of like a watercolor aesthetic. It's just kind of whatever. I still need to do a flower over here. It's a flower for my Mother's Day bouquet. Don't mind that big space. But this is what I was doing on the other side and kind of planning. So I was going to have the 3 roses. This one was too light. I was thinking some pink ones. The red ones fit much better. So I'm going to do some red ones. This is just me practicing shadowing on horses. My horse sucked. I'm going to be looking at a reference photo for the horse. So you guys will see my phone on the screen as I reference photo a horse. Because, dear Lord, can I not draw a horse anymore? I used to draw horses all the time when I was a kid. I cannot do it anymore. Okay, I need to put these common colors away. And at least I know what colors I use a lot now. So I am going to refill some of these colors with bigger ones. Like I used all my white of my big one to make the pale. I used all the burnt umber to make different colors. Things like that, which let me actually show you guys my other palette while we're waiting for this one to dry. Again, I haven't been able to work on the one row of the glitter because of the fact that I ran out of gum arabic while making colors. So that purple color, I ran out of gum arabic, so now I need more gum arabic. And I ordered it for next day. It was supposed to show up Tuesday. It is now Friday, and it's still not here, and I am peeved. So I contacted Amazon. They gave me a $75 credit because this is the 4th order I've done in 2 weeks that has been promised next day but doesn't show up till like 3-4 days later. So they gave me a $75 credit. So now I have a hot air gun that's coming, which will help with like drying times on this stuff. So that's coming. And then I got some weights for my arms and ankles. Just one pair, so I can either have it on my arms or on my ankles. Eventually I'll get a second pair just so that way they're both covered. What was the third thing I got? I know I got a third thing. Now I'm curious. What was my third thing? Oh, and a wax melter. Because I have a ton of wax melts. My old wax melter got broken. It was ceramic. And someone was messing with it. And then the top part of it that holds the wax got snapped in half. So the entire thing was basically gone. The wiring was starting to go bad anyway. So not a super loss. But I got a new wax melter that supposedly also warms up coffee. That'll be interesting. It's going to be my downstairs wax melter. Just so that way I can deal with that. And then I have some art supplies from hosting a workshop. So why I didn't stream Wednesday is I had an interview with an art studio about 30 minutes away, 25-30 minutes away from me, and they approved me to start hosting workshops there. They first want me to do a workshop with the instructors, just so that way I can get, more comfortable and, they can kind of see how I run a workshop. I have never run a workshop before, so everyone pray for me. That's going to be on the 30th. And as long as everything goes good, I'll be hosting local watercolor workshops. So I have materials for carrying or for hosting those shops coming in today. I just got the brushes and the white paint because I ran out of white paint. Cheap white paint, not the expensive Winsor & Newton. I got a cheap off-brand one. That came in this morning. And then I have palettes and kind of like the... It's still called a palette, but it's the mixer palette. So I have palettes to put the paint in, and then I have a mixer palette coming in, so that way they can practice with different things. Kind of like how I use the cup as like a separate mixer. So I have those coming in today still. And my gum arabic and my greeting cards are God knows where. They're hoping they come in today, but they can't tell me jack shit on that. I hate shipping. Yes, the joys of shipping. They suck. hopefully the gum arabic comes in, and perhaps I'll do another watercolor mixing next week. But this is all the colors we mixed last week. The flesh was mixed, the yellow green was mixed, the pale pink was mixed, and there was one more. I want to say it was one of these browns. Oh, this one. The coffee was mixed. So other than that, they were straight out of the tube. And then here's the custom colors I did with the iridescent and the glitter. So as you can see, there's only 3 glitters so far. And this is how it looks inside. I stole the paint brushes from my other paint kit here. It looks like it's already got some glitter. let me wipe that off real quick. I didn't mean to get some. I sprayed it and was using it yesterday at the farmer's market I was at. I think this glitter might be permanent. But I was using it yesterday for some greeting cards. Yeah, I think that glitter is permanent. Oh wait, no, I can scrape it. I can scrape it. And so, as you can see, the glitter one kind of ended up everywhere, but it's fine. Yeah, see, there's a little bit of gold Christmas glitter in the black. I'm still working on my glitter recipe. I am getting there. I also found a tutorial on how to make coffee paint, which I also mixed my own silver. Which with the coffee paint, I think I figured out how to do now, and hopefully get that coffee scent while you're using it. I don't know if it'll stay on it where like your painting smells like coffee, but I think I got enough that I can work with it. I got this. So now that the malachite trees are dry, the ground still isn't, so we're not going to mess with the ground too much. I'm going to dip back in the malachite green, this time taking a little bit thicker amount, and we're just going to brush on a tree right here, and we're going to kind of like squiggle and make it messy. And we're just going to add a thicker tree for the foreground. And again, we're just kind of making it messy and existing. Now, I could have started with the wooden, like the wood in the middle of it, but I didn't want to. I don't know why. That is getting a little too thick. I'll just kind of swipe that off. And as you can see with my bigger trees, I have a good technique for small trees. I'm still working on the bigger trees technique. And this tree is actually going to go into the ground a little bit. And we're just going to kind of keep those holes in the paint smear. And we're just going to kind of create a little bit more of a natural brush here. You do want a little bit of a gap in here, but not a lot. We're going to put the top of this tree up here. That just kind of gives us a little bit more of a natural tree. Now I can, oops, that's not my dirty water. I can go in and add a little bit of, I think I'm going to add a little bit of bamboo green, just to create some variation in these colors. And we're going to do a little bit of a lighter green as well for the left side, where the sun is, oh, that's the wrong side, where the sun is actually at. Just to give a little bit of like a light feel, like there's lights coming through. And we're going to do a little bit of that bamboo green on this side just to give some shadow effect. Not as much as the left or the right side, but enough. And then we're going to go in with that light green, not yellow green. Just this bottom one. I know I'm doing a really far reach here. We're just going to kind of dab that on here in different areas just to lighten that up. That way it feels a little bit more like a sunny day with some light going on. As I got higher, it did kind of mix, so I'm just taking a thicker amount. As things are wet, especially in watercolor, they will mix together. So that's the fun part of watercolor, is as long as your watercolor is still wet, you can actually mix your colors on your paper, not just in your pan. Take and put a little bit of yellow green up here. Bring it in a little bit. There. So now we have our little bit more detailed tree while having our very very wet tree in the background. I'm going to add a little bit more watercolor, and we're just going to kind of add some flicks into this tree. That way we get that lightness on there. Kind of create a little bit more of a sunlight going on here. There we go. Take a little bit and bring it in here. And we want to make sure it's nice and wet so that way it's kind of blurred out in the background and not super evident. There we go. Okay. So now we gotta let it dry again. This is where I need that heat gun. But it should be here tomorrow, so, you know, I can do it next week. There's a little bit of water really pooled down here, so I'm going to soak this up a little bit. I think it's got enough color that it shouldn't pull too much of that blue still. Right, if you have questions, I know someone else who does coffee painting and can see. I would love to have that coffee painting tips. The only question is, because of the way coffee painters are, there are people who use the coffee straight. So, like, they're doing, they're actually taking the coffee, spilling it on, or, like, painting with that coffee itself in the thickness. And then there's what I'm trying to do, which is I'm trying to essentially make a pan. I don't have an example right now. That's black glitter. Where is my coffee? I know I had one. Okay, so I'm trying to make a pan of it. This one is mica powder mixed with coffee grounds. And I'm trying to get it to where it re-wets and has that coffee smell. So that way, as you're painting, it's not just you have to make a fresh coffee every time you paint with it. I want it to, like, refresh every time you paint it. I don't know if I'll get the coffee smell every time, but to have those coffee particles in it creates an interesting effect. It's almost like a glitter, but it's a little different. It's hard to explain. My goal is just to have fun with that. All right, for the fence, I can either do a light gray or raw sienna. I think I'm going to do raw sienna, so I'm going to do a brown fence just because that'll clear up here. Otherwise, I have to use my gouache to make a white fence because of the dark colors I have going on already, and white doesn't usually show up on, like, anything unless it's a gouache or acrylic or even an oil where it's thick. So I am going to have to do that. I am putting my rings back on because I don't need to play in the water anymore. This is where we need a snack. Anyone have a snack? Take time to eat while it dries. Yeah, this is still too wet to draw. The next step would be to draw. This is a little bit drier. Let me see if I can pull some of this up to help it dry a little faster. I don't need it to be too dark right here because that's where the horse is going to be. Anyway, freeze-dried strawberries have been my go-to snack lately. They are really good. They are really, really good. I agree. Of course, I'm going to be sick of strawberries by the end of the weekend because my daughter wanted a strawberry cake with strawberry icing. So I'm going to be hating strawberries by Sunday. Yeah. I could work on the flowers right now, but I don't want to jump right into that. I may actually take my new palette to do the flowers with the pinkest pink and the brighter reds. I might even do a cherry red, which is in this one. I don't know how I want to do the roses yet. I think I'm going to stick with reds for the roses. And just do different shades of red. Why my cat's hissing? Excuse me, kitty. We do not hiss at each other. All three of you are in one room. We don't hiss. Okay. Stretch break. Get some actual water. I mean, I could. That'd require going to a BRB screen, and I just started like 45 minutes ago, and that feels weird going to a BRB screen. It's almost dry. It's getting there. There's a little bit of wetness here. Pulling up the water over here did help, so I can probably start sketching the horse. I should probably, what I should do right now, look up a reference photo for the horse. Because I am not good at doing horse heads. Horse head. I mean, that's mirrored to what I want. I'm sure I can find one exactly the way I want, though. So what I was thinking is something like this, where it's like face on, and then you have the body and things going behind it. So I think this is going to be a good one to use as a reference. let's go ahead. I'm going to get my pencil out. I'm going to use my palette pencil instead of these rinky-dink tiny things that I have now. And I have to be very, very careful with this pencil because if I try to erase any of my lines, then I will erase the watercolor and then it'll become a problem, and I would not be happy. So I want the horse head to come up to about here, I think. I want it in thirds, so third, 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 and then the horse head can be in like this quadrant. So yeah, no higher than this cloud. I just heard something knock over and I know it was my cats. That doesn't make me happy. I'm going to bring the horse head to right about here. The ears will go up a little bit. That's fine. And then the horse head has a fairly decent size at the top and then comes out kind of almost like a vase shape. And one of the things I have been trying to work on is getting my curves to be even. I am not good at that. I know this is supposed to be more of a realistic horse, and that is going to make that look very unrealistic. If I were doing cartoony horse, it'd be fine. I am not doing cartoony horse. I am doing real horse. So it looks very wonky. So there's that horse. And because I'm drawing the horse, that does mean I decided not to do the splatter on the bottom. Just because I don't want to deal with having dirt that is a little bit more inconsistent. I could do a little bar of woods. That way you have the fence in the background, the fence in the front. But I kind of want to keep it where the fence is just behind and you're in with the horse, not just behind the horse. So this comes up here, comes down for the mane. And then this comes across like this with its little butt. It comes straight there. And with the mane, it comes down and goes, it has a little gap, and then it just comes down into the leg. Now, I'm not going to put a bit on the horse. I want it to feel a little bit more natural. So this horse has a nostril here and a nostril here. This isn't the most perfect horse in the world, don't get me wrong. Horse mouth right there-ish. It's not the most perfect horse in the world. I am trying my best. It's been so long since I've worked with horses, and even tried to draw one that it's been a hot minute. So this is going to come out a little bit from here, come back in, and the horse eye is kind of angled off to the side. And then this side, it's going to mirror. Not nearly as much. The mane is covering this eye, so I kind of have to go by instinct here. Now, I could cause the mane to cover this eye as well, which would be very interesting. But we're gonna see how this goes with this horse. So that's actually not looking that bad for a horse. I am feeling better about this. So I'm gonna bring this horse ear down. This is where I would need to erase to get rid of that line, but I'm going to pray my painting does what I need it to and gets rid of that horse. I could actually use my kneaded eraser. That might be able to pull it up without having any issue. This one kind of comes up like this, and then also comes down in a loop. Again, this one is a little bit more funky because of the fact that they have the mane coming up over here and just kind of blowing this way. And then this one has it all the way down the side. I don't want to draw the mane or the bit right now, or the harness. The other thing it can be called is a harness. Just because I want this to feel like a little bit more free horse. Now, the color of the horse I haven't decided either. Just because I don't know what to do for that. Make this eye a little bigger so it matches side by side. Let's see if the kneaded eraser, we're going to go on the inside of the horse and try and do the nose. We're going to see if the kneaded eraser does pull up the watercolor or if it'll just lighten my lines. The horse will not be white. I know that much. Because then I'd have to get my gouache out. Again, the white doesn't show up very well. Look at my horse. My horse is amazing. Give it a lick. Please don't be it's a painting. Oh, please don't it's a painting. Yeah, no, that's, yeah. I'm just hoping this horse turns out fairly decently. Okay, so I can lighten using... Oh, no. No, I can't. That's pulling up the watercolor paint. I'm going to clean up the eye, though. I'm going to clean up these inner bits. Yeah, it's pulling up the paint. I don't want to pull up the paint. So this might be a more outlined horse. Just because of the fact that it is pulling up where I don't want it to pull up. And no, this is not how you normally use a kneaded eraser. Normally you roll it over the painting. But with it pulling up the paint, I don't want to do that. Okay, that's more of the inner bits. Pull up this bit right here. That's also an inner bit. There we go. Okay. I guess I can pull this one up. That's also an inner bit. Oh yeah, that one you can really see it pull up the brown. I think I'm going to do a nice chestnut brown color for the horse, which is going to be kind of like a raw sienna yellow brown with a touch of reddish brown, just to kind of pull in the reds from the skin. I think that's how I'm going to do it. And then I'll probably do this like Payne's gray, black hair going on up top. Kind of like what this horse looks like. Alright, is that... It should be dry enough to paint since I could sketch on it, but I'm so nervous about doing the horse. I'm so nervous. Don't want to mess it up. Well, this will be a painting for sale. I have been talking with Sheriff a lot, and I actually got in the mail, which is really, really funny. It was for the manager of the shipping department of Tiger Rosie Studios, LLC. I thought that was a little too official, and I felt awkward. But it was a catalog for shipping supplies, so I can get my shipping supplies in bulk. I'm going to have to go through it and see if it also offers the shipping service, because then I can get a better idea of how much it'd be to ship a 16 by 20. Those ones I think I am going to stick to in person, but a lot like the 19 by 12s, 8 by 12s, those ones I think I will be happy to sell online. So I will be starting up, well, after I look at the shipping. Again, shipping's been my big hang up of starting my website, but I will look at the shipping and see how those will do. Okay, so now we're going in with the horse. I like using my round brush the most because it gives me the most control. But I am probably going to use the dagger brush for the leaves on the flowers, and I might use the angle brush for the flowers themselves to like get the base, and then use the round brush to lift. And the mop brush is the only one I got out that I don't think I'm going to use. So now I need to respray my browns here. So I want reddish brown, Naples, light brown, ochre, coffee, you know, all the browns. I'm probably not going to go to the burnt umber stage because that one is a little dark. Coffee is going to be my shadow for the most part. Actually, I didn't need Naples yellow. Oh, no, I did. On the butt, there's a little bit of Naples yellow. Okay. So let's start. They shouldn't need that activated because of the fact they've already been activated from doing the background. So we're just going to go in, and we're going to paint the horse while being careful not to go outside the, to go outside where those splashes are at. So I need to lighten up this Naples yellow a touch, just because it is a sunlight spot. We're just going to be careful, like I said, to get into these areas where the splatter went. Now with the horse, it is going to need some layering. There's not a lot of, there's a lot of harsh lines in it, so it's going to be a little bit more challenging to kind of get there. The next step would be that is almost yellow ochre. It's yellow ochre with a little, okay, we're going to mix the color here. We're going to use this pan for my mixing. We're going to take a little bit of Naples yellow. We're going to mix it right here. Apparently have way too much of it. Get some water. And we are going to mix in a little tiny amount of the light yellow brown, just because it has that slight brown color to it, but it's still really, really light. I'm going to add a little bit more Naples yellow. And then we're going to water it down. And then I'm going to take my swatch sheet, and see how that looks. Could use a touch more light yellow brown. There we go. That is the color I am looking for. So now we're going to go in before this dries too much, and we're going to take that light yellow brown and we're just going to pull it in here in these little crevices where there's a little bit of shadow. Where this is not thick enough to give me that color, so I need to thicken it up a little bit. Water here. And then every time you mix a color, I recommend swatching it to make sure you are close on that color swatch. So yeah, see, we're pretty close to the same one. So now I'm going to go in and try that again with a little bit more pigmentation, and there we go. That is what I was looking for. And this is just going to have little bits of color here and there, just to kind of bring in the sunlight effect. Bring it up here. Now, technically, some of these are kind of faded, and it would have been better if it was wetter so that we could have that blur effect, but it's okay. We will make it work. Has a little bit right here. And, oh, I forgot to do that Naples yellow on the side here. We have a little bit of Naples yellow right here. That's just coming up the horse, lightening it up. And I do see a little bit of Naples yellow actually here on the muzzle. Or nose, or whatever you want to call it. I didn't fully look to see where all it was at. I just kind of looked at one section and was like, yep, that's good. This will actually help with a little bit more flow. And then this has a lot of shadow coming down here. Actually going to connect that and bring that down. The shadow does go a little bit darker than this light brown and Naples yellow mixture that we made. So I will be going back in with a darker shade yet. This is where we kind of layer and bring in those colors. Just trying to get a nice line here on the back because it is kind of a line for that light bit. And then this color comes in over here. And again, where it's wet, it will bleed a little bit more, which will give a more of a natural blend here. And then I'm going to paint both sides of this horse. I'm not going to do the middle bit because that's where a lot of shadow is. And I'm just going to bring that color in. Now the lines are going to show through, which is going to drive me insane, but at the same time, it is kind of like a stylistic choice when you leave your pencil lines there, as it does cause a much more realistic feel of this being an actual piece and not something that was like AI generated. You can actually see the lines where someone drew it instead of just have it exist. Some of this is starting to dry, so we need to mix again. I don't know why I dipped in the dark one before the light one. It's way too much yellow ochre. Now this time I would check it, but I want a little bit of a slightly darker shade this time as we go through. So this one has a light right here. And we're just going to spread this layer all over the face, as it is like a base color for this base here. Now I don't know if the yellow ochre would have continued up the, or the yellow Naples yellow would have continued up the neck, just because again, that's where the mane is in the photo. So it's kind of hard to see where all the highlights are on the horse because the mane creates a shadow effect. Get up into the ear here. Now, I could have kept my drawing much lighter, and I probably should have. Normally, I draw this heavy, and then I take my kneaded eraser and I lighten it up. But unfortunately, this time around, I could not do that because of the watercolor already on the background. Now, it looks like I made enough of this mixture here on my palette to really finish up this horse for the base, which is good. So now I'm going to take some of that raw sienna and I'm going to mix up that kind of color combination with the Naples yellow and the light brown. And this time I'm going to mix some raw sienna into it. And this creates a little bit more cohesive color palette by having a base color that you mix everything into. A little bit more Naples yellow to that. Well, you're going to see me mix the Naples yellow and the light yellow brown together a lot. So now I'm taking that raw sienna, mixing it in, which lightens it up, but keeps that kind of dark color with it. I think I'm going to add a little bit more Naples yellow just to lighten it a touch, because it is a little bit on the darker side than I would like. And of course, we're going to take our little swatch sheet, and we're going to just swatch over this one right here. And that seems to be not brown enough, actually. That's a little too yellow ochre-y. So I think I'm actually going to add a touch of coffee to it just to add that red color. Red's got a hint, or the coffee has a hint of red in it. So we're going to swatch it right here. And there we go. That is more of what I was looking for. So now we're going to start shadowing the horse in the areas where it's shadowed. So a lot of the shadows are not perfectly defined, and that's okay. And that's where we have a little bit more freedom to kind of define them. Some of the areas do have a darker shade than I currently have, which again is okay. We just have to go back in with a fourth layer and make it a little bit more shaded. So this one has a little shade right here. Getting these layers on here is what's going to really bring this horse to life. This one has shading up here for the horse head. And again, the mane is going to cover up this top bit. So it's kind of hard to see where that exists up here. This one just kind of swoops around. Comes down here. And kind of stops a little bit right here and just kind of blurs. So to get a blur once it's dry, I like taking a little bit of my clean water and just kind of mixing it into this area, make it wet. And then I take more of that color and I just kind of blend it in and let it bloom. Now I would do these little dots here with the horse color, but I kind of want them to still feel a little fresh and kind of splattery. And if I take too much of my stuff and put it into those splatters, it can lose the splatter effect. So I can see right here, my face is bleeding into the horse mane, or the horse face. My shadows are bleeding into the horse face, I should say. I'm going to take a little bit of that Naples yellow, wet it down. We're just going to put it right back in here. And now in the horse face, it looks like this brown color is coming from right here to about where that eyebrow is. And then goes under the eyebrow. So the other eyebrow is over here. So we're going to put it under that eyebrow too. And then we're also going to take and shade all this. Because it is, again, it's the mane. So it would be shaded underneath. The ears are very shaded. They're very dark. So they're almost black. So we're going to take that color of that shade and put it in the ear as well. In both ears, of course. However, this ear does have a little bit of shadowing, or a little bit of light. So I'm going to actually use this dark brown as the light because they are very dark ears. Again. We're going to take that shadowing and bring it down here. Get some more water because it's starting to dry up on me. Which this will lighten it up a little bit, but that's fine. And then we have a little bit of shadowing here. That might have made it too light though. Yep, it did. Add that. We're going to add that. We're going to add the yellow and the Naples yellow. mix those together. Add some water. And again, I'm not trying to get an exact color here just because the shadowing is changing as it goes through the horse face. I'm trying to get as close as possible. So we're going to add a little bit there. This kind of blooms out right there. Then the nose, it just has a little bit of shadow coming up here. And the mouth right here is nice and shadowed. It's not super dark on this shadow, but it's fine. We'll make it work. Add a little bit more up here. So as it lightens, as you can see, it does kind of lighten up the color a little bit. I do see another spot where my shadows bled to where I didn't want them to. So we're just going to take a little bit of water in our brush and lift that out. So lifting is a very basic set technique for watercolor. It actually helps you lighten colors where you need it to be lighter. And then you can take and add in a lighter color, or you can do whatever you need to do, really. Add a little bit of coffee right there. Straight coffee. I'm going to lighten it up. Too much water. Too much water. You gotta be careful not to add too much water because that's what causes that bleeding to happen. Okay. So now we wait for that layer to dry. And then once we finish that layer, we can go in with a nice dark layer, which looks to be the fourth layer in here. Now I could add a little bit more red to this, but I'm going to mix the coffee with the reddish brown to get that final dark layer. Once that dark layer is done, we can do the eyes and the hair and all that, which are basically black, which will help it a lot. I think I might take a little bit of iridescent here on the butt and highlight this lighter color where the Naples yellow is. I don't know for certain yet. I might. Try and create a little bit of a lift here to create a little bit brighter feel to that butt. Also going to blend out these sides. It's more of a gradation than a bright color right there. The easiest way to lift is usually with a dry brush, but you'll find when I do lifting personally, I just use the brush I'm using and just add more water. There we go. That has a little bit more of a gradation to it. Now, I don't know if I want to add any shine to the horse, like iridescent wise. I think I want to keep those with, oh wait, no. If I keep those with the roses, then I lose. Whew, where do I want to shine in here? I don't want to pull too much to the fence. I like the roses in the front. I think using different reds will help. Maybe I can do a couple roses in orange red and metallic wine red. So while that horse dries, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of sketch out where I want, very lightly, where I want the roses. So we're aiming for 12 of them. So we're going to put 1 here, 2, 3, 4. We'll do a slightly bigger one here. 5, 6, slightly bigger there. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and let's go with 12 right here. So those are going to be the positions of our roses. I think that's good. I do have a slightly bigger one to feel more close, and then the rest of this will be filled with greenery. I'll do a light color bush and then slowly build on top of it to make leaves and make it feel like a rose bush instead of just floating roses. Which, let's be honest, if you have a horse, you probably don't want... Lurk, be back in a bit. No problem, Matt. Take your time. Let's be honest, if you have a horse, you probably don't want a rose bush in their area. But you know what? this is going to be a rose bush, because why not? Horse is almost dry. We're just waiting on a few more sections. I could get started with the flowers, I guess, while I'm waiting for it to dry. So I need to bring my brushes in here. So I need to wet the metallic reds. And then I need, oh, come on. And then I need to re-wet these reds up here. And again, we're going to take that dagger brush and we're going to try to create the roses and then do the lift. I think I'm going to do, I don't know why I'm looking at my reference photo for this. My references isn't there. I think I'm going to try and do a couple of the smaller ones first. I do need to have a light color for this backing. We're just going to kind of diagonal cross it here. Now keep in mind the roses may not be the exact size as what I just painted. I think I actually need my small brush here. So I'm going to get my small brush out. Because that big round one's going to be a little too big for the size of that rose. So we're going to pull these out. I'm going to take, oh, where is it? Oh, I got one. There it is. Nope, there it is. I'm going to take my round, I think this is a size 2. It's worn off because I use it so much. And we're just going to wet it. And we're just going to slightly lift these colors up and out. There we go. Keep it nice and wet here. I don't have to do that much lifting to get these roses feeling going on. Just because of the fact that it is smaller, I don't have to do as much here. I'm going to pull this one down now a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So there's one rose. And we're just going to go back and forth between the angle brush and the dagger brush for these roses. The next one I think I'm going to do is rose red. We're going to lighten it. And we're going to put it right here. Now these reds are very, very similar. So they're not going to have too much variation other than us knowing that they are different colors. I need a thicker version. We're going to set that one down. God, this is so wet already. We're going to just, once again, we're just going to take some water and slowly lift out those highlights in the rose. I probably should have started with the back two for this one. I was thinking about it, I was going to do it, and then I just started painting and I ended up not doing it. Now with these being wet, they are going to bleed into these lifted areas still. So you got to keep going back and forth to kind of create that highlight in there. These are turning out very nice. Right, so now I need to do those two, and then I need to do this one. I think for the darker one, I'm going to do a wine, or the back one, I'm going to do a wine red here. We're just going to kind of keep it nice and dark. And then the other side, I'm going to do the wine red in iridescent. So that way these two look like they're kind of the same distance, but they have a little bit of difference here. Now, one of the things I was recommended by the instructor during my interview, because I had to show off my artwork, was to do some complements in these. I'm not going to add complements this time, mostly because of how small they are. But in the future, I think I want to practice with it first too. I think I'm going to go ahead and do like green in the red to create a complement in the rose work. Carefully pull this color out. Kind of clean my brush a little bit so I can pull this color a lot more. As you see, I am cleaning my brush between each pull, because if you keep it with that color, then that color is just going to bleed into the next area. There we go. Okay. This rose looks the weirdest so far. The other ones are doing okay. I'm going to take that metallic wine red now. We're going to go on this side. We're just going to kind of go back and forth here. It's a little wet still, so we're going to lighten that up a touch. And we got to be very careful not to run into this other rose, which is why I should have done the back ones first. But that would have been me paying attention. There's that. Getting headbutted by Eva again, who wants all the attention. She deserves all the attention, guys. You know she does. Spread that out a little bit, then come back and make it a little bit thicker on the bottom. I think I'm going to do 2 of the orange-red ones. I think I'm going to do this one orange-red and that one orange-red. Just that way I have some shine in the piece. I don't really want to add shine to the horse, honestly. I know I should, because I shouldn't just have the roses as iridescent, but could do the fence, but that would probably bring too much attention to the fence when I think about it. I think the roses are the best place for me to have done this iridescent technique. So I'm going to take this orange red, lighten it a touch. We're just going to do this. I think I'm going to do 2 at once this time, just to try and get these roses done a little faster. We're going to take a thicker amount of that red orange and we're just going to drop it in here. My cat is giving me the back right now. She's just sitting on my floor mad because I won't pet her right this second. I'm probably going to do the very big one as either a metallic white and red or as the orange red. I haven't decided which one yet. This one is being a pain in my butt. Okay, I can make it work. This one. I am really liking how this turned out. I'm sure as I go along, I'm probably not going to like it as much as I think I do, but I am liking it so far. I may also like it more because you know how artists are. They walk away from something they think is ugly and then they come back 2 days later and it's like the best thing they've ever done. I definitely need to work more with compliments. I will admit that. Compliments really help bring definition where there isn't any definition. Shadow where you need shadow type things. Like this orange red, I could use a little bit of green, and that would really pop out those inner bits of the rose. Okay, so I've done that one, and that one. I have candy apple and cadmium red that I haven't done yet. So I'm going to do cadmium red for in front of this orange red iridescent. Just because it's a very vibrant in-your-face red. And I think that'd be really pretty to help that orange red stand out. Seeing how the orange red versus the wine red went, I think I'm going to go ahead for that very big one and do the wine red. Just that way I can get a little bit more oomph for my buck. We just go in with that darker color. we start lifting. Now the horse is dry. I could stop and start working on the horse again, but now I'm in a rhythm of doing these roses and I'm not going to stop. Plus, it'll give, if I go to work on the horse right now, some of the roses will dry. And then when I go to work on the roses again to do the leaves, I'm going to have to wait for them to dry. So I'm just going to finish the roses and then go back to the horse while the roses dry. And then I can go back and forth here. Up. I really like how the lifting color of the roses works. I don't know why. It just feels a little bit more natural to me. Kind of gives it more of a highlight feel. So next I'm going to do the candy apple red. And then I have 4 more to go after that, and I don't know which ones I'm going to do which yet. I'm going to go based on what I feel, based on the color of the roses that I have currently. Lift some of that up. That candy apple got a little too dark in my opinion. Take that candy apple again. We're just going to ever so carefully put that darker bit back in on the bottom. That up. I probably should have done the fence here, because I feel like the fence probably would have been better to do before doing the roses, but you know what? It's fine. We will make it work. All right, the candy apple I kind of like, but I think I really liked the bright red, which was this one. So I'm going to do another bright red. And then I like the rose red that I did for this one. And then I think I'll do a wine and an orange. So I'll do both metallics again. So we're going to start with the bright red here. And then the, what was the other one? The rose red. Going to add some more water to them, and then I'm going to add some more water to the orange red and the wine red metallics. Now they're already activated again, so every time you add water to your paint, you do not have to reactivate it. You just have to add the water, and that will do what you need it to do. Lift up a little bit up here. Back in with that darker red down here. Go in. We're just going to start lifting right where we need to lift. I almost could use a rigger brush for this, and that would cause a much finer line in these roses, which would create a much more detailed version. But I am a pain, and I don't like taking forever to do simple things. It's 2:25, so yeah. Almost done with this painting, and I'm glad I decided to do this painting instead of anything else, because I am just not feeling a lot right now. And this has me the most motivated right now. I do have one more rat pig piece to work on, and I have a bunch of greeting cards to work on. Well, I mean, I would if I had my greeting card paper. Yeah. I have some graduation ones I want to make. Like, one that I did make is, well done graduate, and another one is I got my dip llama. And one has a llama on it, and the other one has a whale shooting confetti. It was a lot of fun. Come on, stay over there. Stay over there. We're going to do that rose red right here. I like the variations in the reds, mostly because it's giving a little bit more natural feel to it, because let's be honest, when you grow flowers, they're not always all the exact same shade all the time. They get close, but they're not perfect. I don't know why I keep putting my little rag down. Definitely like the feel of these roses. Like I said, this way of doing a rose feels a lot more natural than my spaced out ones. Spaced ones are great, don't get me wrong, but this feels a little bit more accurate to how real life would be. Okay. 2 more to go. So we're going to start with the orange red. I think that one should be the smaller of the two. And again, I like the pencil marks because it, like I said before, it gives it more of a, this is an actual piece that was planned out type vibe, instead of just a, well, this was just AI printed or some crap like that. Oop. Throwing my brush around is good. There we go. Now to lift. Again, lifting can be the hard part of any piece. Lifting is not easy, but it is one of the fundamental basics of watercolor. Here. Have enough water on my brush. Okay. One more rose and then we'll go back to the horse. Allow those roses to dry here. I have found the darker the color that you put down for the lifting technique, especially with roses, the better the roses turn out. If it's too light a color, your roses don't turn out very good, because you can't see that lift technique nearly as well. Put that over there, and then lift technique again. Get that brush nice and wet. Brush what again? What again? That one in. There we go. See, the bigger the rose, the easier it is for me to lift. The smaller, the little bit harder. That's where I should have done the rigger brushes. But that's fine. Everything is fine. We're going to set that up there. All right, now for the horse again. So, in those shadows, I did see, and I need to open it back up because, you know, why would I leave it open? That would have been too easy. Okay, so now on the horse, we do have that reddish coffee color. So I'm going to go ahead and take this pan. I'm going to remix up this color that was already here, but we're not going to use it. It's just going to be kind of like a base color. It's not so much for the actual color itself. That is completely dry. So we're going to have to Naples yellow. Not in the clean water. A little bit of light brown. Just again, this gives us that base that makes that cohesive color. Fortunately, it's a base that I mixed instead of just did as is. There, we got the nice there. And now we're going to take a little bit of this reddish brown down here. Mix that in, which gives a little bit more red to this color. And finally, we're going to take some of the coffee, which is dried out right now. Swirl that around, and we're going to mix that in here. And this is going to be our deepest shadow. Add a little bit more of that red. Take some of that water, get it nice and wet, which again does lighten it. So keep that in mind. This one looks like it's all set and dry, so I'm going to flip it over. And we're going to just swatch that red, that reddish brown. Now, it's not quite brown enough in my opinion, so I'm going to add a touch more coffee. And it's okay that it's on the darker side. So we're going to swatch it again. That looks like a nice, I'm going to add a touch more brown. It's okay. It's fine. There we go. That looks like a nice, good, dark shade. So we're going to set that up there. And we are going to go in where it's the darkest shade. So right here. Right under the mouth. In the middle here. And then we have a little bit going up here. This side of the mouth. We're just going to blend out a touch. There is a lot of dark in the ears. So we're just going to come in and we're going to... I'm probably going to go in with an almost black for the ears. To outline them. Right down here, there's a little bit of dark. Again, this is where the mane is, so you can see the darkness, but you can't see underneath the mane, so it can be kind of hard to shadow it. Sounds like Baby Tiger got in trouble and is now taking a nap at almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's a bad idea. This one doesn't really have any lightness on it. It's just the really dark brown. The ears are going to be where most of the darkness comes in. They're really, really dark brown, so we're just going to shadow that. And then right here, we're going to just add a little bit of darkness here. What's going on? Thank you. A little bit of a U shape here. We're just going to shadow all this. For those curious about the candle Sheriff is talking about, it's a gingerbread. This is going to lighten it up a touch, and we're just going to kind of create more of a blur line here. Again, this blur line just kind of creates a more natural look to the shadows. It does have a little bit of shadow right here. A little bit down here. And I just gotta hope that as it blends out and gets that water going, it does also have some dark nostrils. They are almost black, so I will be using another brown on top of these dark nostrils to make a nice dark color. Then shadow around the mouth. Now on the original photo of this horse, the muzzle is white, but I am not going to make it white. I'm going to keep it all brown. Now, if I wanted to have a more cohesive brown, what I could do is I could create what is known as a wash layer, and I just go over the entire horse with that light wash, and that will create more of a cohesive color. But I'm kind of liking how it's being a little bit more blocky. I might do the wash. We'll see. I might do the wash another day. I don't want to do it today. I want to come back to it and see if I still like it or not. There's that. We're going to let that dry. Actually, it's mostly dry. I'm going to go in with the smaller brush. We're going to reactivate this color here. We're going to mix it back up. So I'm going to do, this time I'm not mixing in that base yellow ochre mixture. Oh, that's not my clean water. That was not the water I wanted. Oh well. And we're going to take in some of that red brown here. We're just going to create that nice red brown undertone. Mix in some more coffee and make it a little bit darker. And this is where we're going to get really dark. So you don't want to use straight black. Black never works. So I'm going to take burnt umber instead, which is the darkest brown I have, and we're just going to mix it in. Mix in a bit more burnt umber because I want this to be really, really dark. Now we're going to take our swatch sheet, make sure we got the right color we're looking for, which is not quite where I want it. So a little bit more burnt umber. I may actually have to take some black. We'll see. There we go. That's a lot better. Okay. Now I'm going to outline where the shadows are with this thin brush on the horse ears. So this one has it right there. Going down here. Has a little bit going there, but not all the way down. And then this one has a nice dark black coming down. So we're going to do that burnt umber, and then I will touch it with a tinge of black. It does have an outline on the ears of that dark, dark brown. Now the ears are the darkest spot on this horse, so I don't want to darken any other spot but the ears. I like that. Yes. Now we're going to darken the ear one more time. This time, I know I just said don't use black, but we're going to use some black. Because that is a very, very dark color. It is almost black. More black. Now the darkest part of the ear is actually light, or is darker than the hair. That is not quite black enough. Now the shadows on the hair, maybe it's about dark enough. That's dark. Now the shadows on the hair, I would believe, are dark enough to be black, but I don't see the like Payne's gray going on. That is not as dark as the other. So I'm going to take, and we are going to mix up, not the iridescent. I don't need iridescent. We're going to take this gray right here. We're going to activate it. We're going to take a little bit of black, just a smidgen. We're going to take a lot of that gray. I want a lot of this. And honestly, I could probably just pull it out of the pan itself. It does look like a nice kind of murky gray, but I want it to be a slightly darker gray than what's out of the pan. So to get a nice thick part of it, I do have to mix a lot of the pigment in with this water. And I need to pick up some of that black to make it a darker gray. I think that is about where we want it to be. So once again, we're going to swatch. And that is almost perfect where I want it to be. So now we're going to start doing the mane. The mane is everywhere. And I mean everywhere. So we're just going to kind of take this gray, and we're just going to paint that mane in. And yes, it is transparent to where we see that shadow underneath. That is okay. I do want to thicken this up again. It is a little too transparent for my taste. A lot of that gray, that is not fully activated, which is part of why we're having problems. That black. Just to darken it a touch. There we go. That's a little bit thicker than I was looking for. Come down here, and we're going to start doing these down here. And to top it off with this dark color, I'm going to do the eyes, which the eyes look perfectly black. And I think only one eye is going to be visible because of how I did that mane. We're just going to go in with that gray so that way we can come in with that black a little bit later. So we're going to also do the dark shadows down here on the nostrils. And we're going to do the mouth line. Nice and thin. And that should give us what we're looking for there. I'm going to add a little bit more water just so I can activate some of this because it's starting to dry. We're just going to kind of even out where these lines are going with my paint. Now, some of the shadows of this horse are going to define where the darkness is. So we're once again going to have to create a darker shade of that gray. So we're going to want some gray in here, a lot of it. And then I'm going to need a lot more black. This time I might actually add some burnt umber to give it a little bit more of a brown feel. So I'm going to go in with that burnt umber. Add that in for just kind of like a basis of brown. Finally, we're going to go in with that black. That is almost empty because I use so much black. We're just going to darken it up. And this is going to be for those shadows. It doesn't look like it has enough brown, so I'm going to add a little bit of this greenish brown because I barely touched this brown and I need a dark brown, and this is a dark brown. We're just going to brown it up a little bit. We're going to come in here. And that is a nice dark color in comparison to the lighter colors here. So now we're going to look, and we're going to be careful. So we want to separate the mane. And we're just going to add that nice dark color in a few places here and there. Then for the front, we're going to kind of create some more life going on in this mane. Touch goes over there. And that just gives the horse a little bit more vibrancy and depth to the mane. Add a little bit down here. And then the eye gets turned to this nice, almost black color. And I will add a white highlight into that eye when it is all dry. Just the tiniest. Ow! Hi, Matt. Thank you for the hydrate. Thank you for the looking good. I am doing the best I can. I'm going to take some of this dark and we're just going to carefully, ever so slightly, outline the face right where this shadow is. Just because I feel like that shadow needs a little bit more definition between the face and the body here. Now, again, I could go in with like a brown and just kind of do a wash to make it a little bit more cohesive, but I'm liking how it's looking right now. I'm going to blend out some of these darker spots here. And that's the nice thing about watercolors. If you screw up, it's okay. Just take some water and blend it out. These harsh lines do not have to be harsh. You can make them nice and soft. Blend in some of these lines here. Blend nicely. This one I do want a harsh line on. I shouldn't be blending it because that's right where that arm is, but on the other side I can blend it. That blend creates a much softer line on that. Again, I don't want that soft line on this side because that harshness is kind of the point. Blend out here a little bit more. Blend on this side. And this is part of why I like watercolor. Like I was saying earlier, and I cut myself off and then forgot to finish saying, is you can re-wet the watercolor and it creates a much softer line for what you're looking for. To make that go there, so we're just gonna blend that out. There we go. Okay. This side does look weird without an eye. It's fine. We'll make it work. I think the no, it does go kind of short up there. We're gonna kind of create a little bit more of a definition of a horse hair going off to the side while also coming down. I might add some light gray highlights to this. I don't know if I can get a light enough gray. But let's see. There we go. Yep, that works. Just taking solid thick gray. Adds that lightness back in. That's looking good. It is 10 minutes to 3 o'clock. I am almost done with this piece. I have the fence I need to add in and the leaves for the roses. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry as is. It's pretty much dry already, but I want to add some more definition than I mean, whatever. It's not super defined. I just want to add something and let it dry a little bit. I'm not entirely certain why I want to let it dry. I just do. Let's go ahead and let's do the fence of the yellow-brown. Oops. That is a tiny piece of dust that I don't need. So we're just going to do the fence with yellow-brown. And I am using the stick to create more of a natural woody feel on this fence. This kind of gives it a little bit more of a kind of squiggliness. And yes, I have to make sure my yellow-brown is nice and white to be able to pick up this yellow-brown. As it's drying, it's becoming a little bit harder. And well, not really drying, but like running out of wetness. So I'm going to just do that real quick. it up a little bit, and then we're gonna right there. Kind of get these fence posts a little close together. I'm losing a little bit of my squiggle. That's just because of the fact that I made it a little too wet. That's okay. Part of the reason I'm deciding now to take a little break between the finish of this piece and the rose leaves is I actually do want to see if I want to make the leaves iridescent, so that way I can get some more of that iridescent in here, or if I want to leave them regular green and then just let them pop, or do a regular green and then for the veins do a dark or deep green to provide the veins of the piece of the flower, or of the leaf. That's the word I'm looking for. Whew, okay, I got there eventually. Okay, I'm cleaning off my stick of my brown. So I'm going to take a break from this. We will continue it Monday. Come Monday, we will decide how we are doing the leaves on the flowers, and then I think it will be all good. I like how the horse turned out. Again, I don't know if I want to add a wash over it to make it all brown. If I did add a wash, it'd probably be the yellow brown and just go all the way across on the body. But every time I've tried to do a wash, I have screwed up and it looks weird. So we're going to see. We'll decide that later. Other than that, I may add a little bit of like a star on the forehead, or like a diamond shape like the one in the photo, just to give it a, they're literally called stars on horse heads, just to give it a little bit more definition, because it feels a little plain on the mouth right now. It feels like the head's too bright, so I might do the white just to kind of like break up the light brown going on. That's part of why I'm thinking doing the wash of brown, is just that face and that butt look a little strange. Past that, yeah, I had a lot of fun hanging out with you guys today. I'm sorry it's not a full 2-hour stream. I was making a cake, didn't realize what time it was, and screwed up a little bit. But that's okay. Everything's okay. I'm gonna leave these paints here to dry. I appreciate, you know what, I'm gonna steal the pencil and the eraser on this one and put it in my custom palette. I hope you guys had a lot of fun today working with me on this Frontier Days piece, or cowboy piece, basically. So I hope you guys had a lot of fun. I know I did. I think Monday I'm good for streaming. Let me double check. Yeah, other than watering my lilac bush, I don't have anything coming up Monday, Wednesday, or Friday of next week, so I should be good to continue streaming as normal next week. The week after looks like same thing. I should be good to stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So my schedule is slowly starting to pick. No pencil. I'm gonna put that up there so you can't roll off. I am starting to have a little bit more freedom with my timing and things like that. But I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. And I will see you guys Monday. Bye!